Welcome to block 23. Here is our pattern with all our sizes down at the bottom. And then here's what we're going to build. So again, I would use paper piecing or connector corners to make this block. And it's not that many pieces, they're just smaller. So rather than put it all together, because we're still in the midst of sewing it, let's talk about the paper piecing or the connectors corners. So I've taken my red square, cut it to the pattern directions, put a little bit of glue on there so I don't need to put some pins because it's such a fiddly little piece. I cut my strips of yellow, again according to our pattern sizes, and rather than like just work from here, I've actually folded this in half. How did I do it? Folded it in half this way, and I'll cut that off, give myself some space, and then I'll cut it on the diagonal. That way I don't have 100 little tiny yellow pieces floating around while I built my block. So I just kind of did them as I went along. Here's our centerpiece. It has been paper pieced and sewn together with some of our sashing. That we have to finish that one. Here's one of our side pieces, which again is sewn together and has all the sashing on it except for the centerpiece. You'll see in your diagram which ones to piece first. So obviously these two piece, then these piece, and then these piece you can see on there. It's not necessary to do it that way, but you will need to play with your golds that way because you want to build a strips. So when you have your strips, you'll be able to put the block together quite easily. So to this block, we're going to add that and that and our corner. Okay, and that gives us one portion. We're going to do the same over here, and that gives us our portion, and then this one here just gets a top and a bottom. But bear in mind that our sashing has to go in first. So it's the way we piece this, the order we piece it is going to give us good success or not. So back to this. So we're going to create these with our paper piece. So we're going to fold along our line like normal. We're going to see where our line is, and we'll line up our yellow piece on the red. And because these are small, I'm going to come in, I can see my fold is right here. I'm going to come in a little bit and not give myself so much of the seam allowance. So I'll sew that. That's from another block, put that over to there. And I'll sew this on here now. Okay, because I'm ready to construct that side. So that one's there. We'll push it over there and give it a press to hold it. And the little dab of glue I put in is minuscule. And again, you can go in a circle, putting your pieces in, or you can go opposites. So again, I'm just going to come a little shy of what that red piece is. I still have plenty of space in my seam allowance. I'm going for somewhere between 1/4 inch and 1/8 of an inch. So that's that first portion done. Let's press that. The next one we're going to do based on our diagram is this bottom piece. So that will go on. Yep, that's right. Okay, so there's 2 pieces on that one. Let's press again. And after you press, you can always check to say, do I want to grade that down a little bit more? Maybe take off that red in line with the yellow so we won't see it through there, although this yellow is pretty strong. It's not a soft yellow. So again, I can just grade those down again a little bit more, but there's still plenty in the seam allowance there to hold that together. Then we get our other 2 corners and put them on. And again, do our fold first, and that shows you where your seam allowance or your stitch line is. So we can bring that in again because we are trying to not have as much bulk. We can bring it in a little bit and then stitch that side. And then this side piece, we'll press that. So again, hopefully you're watching your lines here on your pattern to make sure you're sewing it the right way. You can see that the gold goes to here and goes to here, and then this one clearly goes over top of it. So we will do that before we won't trim yet, we'll trim after. And I'll line it up like this and put my point in the middle of this block right there. So rather than a 9 patch, this one is going to be slightly different. It's going to be 3 columns joined together. I don't think, well, I mean, you could call it a 9 patch, I suppose, but it's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5. So just this one, you just have to be mindful of your cutting or your sewing. So we've got our 2 side pieces. Again, looking at our pattern, we are going to put our sides on before our top and our bottom sashing. So and we are going to attach the piece that I have in here. We're going to attach that after we do the 2 side pieces, the 2 top and bottom red sashing, and then before we add the 2 corners, we're going to add those together and then put the corners on last. So just keep an eye on everything as you're sewing, and keep very mindful of how you are doing your sewing order on this block. It's not very hard. There's some pieces, a fair number of pieces, but a lot less than what we've seen in the past. So now we've got this one out, we can cut those off. We don't need that anymore. Get rid of that. Give it a press. Okay, and then we have this corner done. We will finish this one up. We'll go there, like that, like that. We'll put our sashing on, and we'll put these bigger pieces on. Oh, hold on, maybe you can't see that. Okay, so we have our piece here, our corner piece here, so we need to have the exact same piece on that side as well. So we'll finish sewing this this square, and then we'll add the sashing top and bottom, and then the sashing on the right hand side. Then we'll add our gold, 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 just like in this piece. We will finish our centers, and again, we will put our sashing on in order of placement based on our pattern. And then we'll put the last 2 items we put on are the golds. Then at that point, I square it up to the 6.5 inch finish size. And that is block 23. So the only problems, or not problems, the only things you have to remember in this one is your piecing order after you've completed these little squares. So once this is done, the third piece is on, I will take this over and I'll trim it up, and then I'll add my sashing and create this side, and we are done for that one. It's a fairly simple block. Just watch what goes next and you'll be successful. Block 23.